Hi, thank you so much for tuning in to P2P Relates, where we talk about all things relationships. I'm Pat Renfro, and today I want to talk to you about the times we are going through a pandemic that I'm sure most of us never thought would last this long. And many of us may have concerns about going into the next year and hearing employers even saying things like, well, April before we return back to work, or April before we come into the office, which means what do they know that we might not know? Not to mention the stress. So I want to talk about 3 things that you could do to just help yourself get through this pandemic and look back on it and say, hey, we got through it. Okay? The first thing is dream. You've heard me talk about this before if you've been following me. Imagination is a powerful thing. So how about you plan your next vacation and then call up a friend and describe it? Now, before you can do that, in a lot of cases, you may have to convince yourself. But I'm saying pull away from the stress of life, from the worries and cares, and just stop and say, okay. Now, you don't even have to put a date on it. You don't have to say it's going to be next June 2021. You can just say, my very next vacation looks like this. And I mean, really enjoy the imagination journey of what it would look like to go on your next vacation. Number 2, think about how many things you're grateful for. Now, that's going to be a little challenging because if you've lost anyone from COVID, if you contracted COVID yourself, if you lost your job and things have been tight, that might be something that you say, oh, I'm gonna miss you on that one. I'm good. I'm not doing it. But I challenge you, please try hard where you can stop and say to yourself, what am I grateful for? We're coming up on the end of November when many people celebrate Thanksgiving. But whether you celebrate it or not, if you're still living, if you could even have the capacity and ability, intellectual capacity to do this second challenge, please try really hard to write down or record on your phone, whatever's convenient for you. But see how many things you could add up on the list of thanks. And maybe get a friend to compete with you or do it together and just say, okay, you come up with your list, I'm going to come up with my list. Whether it's written or verbal, doesn't matter. Just be able to stop and think about all the things that you should be thankful for. And for those of you who say, I don't have anything to be thankful for, life has been nothing but rough throws, I want to give you something to help you out. Think about the fact that you could think about that. Think about the fact that you're still breathing, you're able to eat. In most cases, you're able to lie in a bed or even a couch and inside 4 walls. Even if you have to go to a food bank to get your food, there's a food bank available for you to go to. In most cases, there's running water. There's a flip of a switch to turn lights on. Now, I can't cover every difficult situation a person might be in, but I promise you, if you will challenge yourself to really think through that, you can come up with things that everybody can't say. That makes you blessed, that makes you fortunate, that you can be thankful for. And finally, number 3, figure out who you would like to do an act of kindness for. And it can be as significant or small as meets your perspectives and your needs. You could contribute $2 to the person in front of you in the grocery store. You could make sure you have a couple of dollars to give to a homeless person at a light. Just keeping it in your door. You could take a bunch of bananas from Costco over to a neighbor, an elderly person maybe, or just someone that you know is having a hard time economically. You could give somebody $5 toward gas. You could even call someone you haven't talked to in a really long time, or someone that you think might be lonely during this pandemic, and just call them up and say, I was thinking about you and just wanted to see how you were doing, and not talk about anything pertaining to hardship or challenges or even victories in your life unless they ask you for that information. But let it just be all about them. As they say, pay it forward, do something for somebody else. Because see, when we're in this life, it's hard. It's not always easy. It's not always just a flip of the switch. Oh, I can just get over it, blah, blah, blah. Many, many challenges come to us as we live this life. But if we would stop and briefly think about how things can be, will be, and have been better, and how we're going to engage in the hope for that, and how we're going to actually think about other people and what they might be encountering and how they might be feeling and what challenges they might be experiencing during this pandemic, you will feel better. I promise. We just sometimes have to get off of our bandwagon and reach out to someone else. During this time, there's a lot of space to reach out because we're so distanced and we're so long being in this pandemic. It's just been, right? I didn't want to keep you long today. I just wanted to give you some encouragement and just help you to think about things that you could do to make life a little easier during this time. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope that you will call up a friend or get someone and be accountable to them. Talk about the 3 things and then just go do it. And then, I'd love to get comments about you did it and how did you feel about it. That would be great. All right, take care. Please hit the subscribe button to get updates of anything I do. Tap the bell after you hit the subscribe button, and that will give you a notification so that you'll know when I upload. And finally, give me a like if this was helpful to you. I'd really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Bye.